Hi, this is the last video in the series about SQL language or SQL language. Um, this video is about SQL joins, so how we can join together multiple tables. So right now, I only have one table called persons. So let's try to create another table on the mock demo database that we can use for showing off joins. So let's do this first. So let's create another table. I think let's just do a new query here. New query. Mock demo. Okay. So we're going to say not create table. Let's call this dogs, and then we would have to specify the different columns that we want. So first we're going to do an identity column. So first off, we're going to make an ID that is an int, and we also want to make this the primary key, and we also want to make this identity, meaning that it will auto increment the ID for the dog, so we don't need to do that manually. The next thing that we want is the name of the dog. So we're going to say name, and we're going to make this an n varchar of 255. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put a foreign key here, and this foreign key is going to be owner. So let's call it owner ID int, and we don't want that to be not null. Do we want the name to be null? No. So let's set this to not null. And of course, the primary key cannot be null as well. So that is it. Should the owner ID be able to be null? I think so. That would be fine. So this is it. We can either specify the foreign key directly here or create the table first and then add the foreign key later. So I think let's just create it first, and then that's it. So we reload our mock demo, refresh, and now we have like persons and dogs. And let's go into our mock demo and select top 1000 of dogs and see that it's empty. Okay. So let's create some dogs as well. So I might outcomment this one, and then let's try to create some dogs. We can see from the persons here that this is how we insert them. So we say insert into table name and then all of the columns and then the values. So we better do that. I find the correct one. Insert into dogs, and then we want to set the different values here. So like persons, we want to insert first the columns and then the values. So we're going to say first column we're going to do is not the ID because that is identity. So that means it will auto increment. So we will use the name, and then we will use the owner ID. And the owner ID should be something that is already present in the persons table. So first off, we just want to insert a name. So let's just put a name here, like the first dog. Let's call it Fido. And the owner ID could be anyone from our list here. Let's say 2002 Merla. 2002, like that. So this actually, sorry. So these are the values we want. Of course, we need to type values in front of that, and we also need to type that it is the name and the owner ID that we want to put in these values into, like that. So let's try this, see if it works. One row affected, it says. So if we retry the query on the docs, we see that Fido now has an owner 2002. So the thing we often want to do, we need to combine these. Now I have a select query that it will actually select all the docs. I also can have a select query that will select all of my persons in here. So I kind of want to find out which person actually owns the dog. And what do they have in common? They have the ID 2002. That is the only thing that they have in common. Let me just move it over here. So some reason or somehow I want to do a query where I get all of the data out. And this is what we use joins for. So if I create a new query here, we can do a join on that. So we're going to do something called an inner join, meaning we'll get what is common between both of the tables. So we'll only get what they have in common. So let's try to do that. So first off, we type the select statement where, as normal, when we do selects, and then we say which columns do I actually want from my two tables. So instead of just saying from one of the tables, we now want to specify the columns from all of them. I'll just specify everything for now. And then I need to say this is the select part, and then there's a from part, and I just use new line because, as you know, in SQL we use this to specify the end, so I can do a new line. It would be the same as writing it here. I just think with joins they become so long, so it's better. And then I'm going to say I'm going to select everything from docs. Wow. And I'm then going to say inner join, and I'm going to say persons. So I'm going to join dogs with persons on something. So that means I'm going to join together these two tables, but I need to tell the SQL Server what is it you want to join on. Is it the names, or what needs to be the same in order for these to be part of the results? So I need to specify, for example, persons dot ID is equal to, sorry, old habit, dogs dot owner ID, like that. So this way I can specify that the person's ID need to be the same as the dog's owner ID. And then I click run. And you see you get the result here. You get the ID, the name, owner ID. You also get the ID. You see these two are the same. You get the first name and last name of the owner, the email, gender, IP address, and phrase. So you actually get all the data you want by using this inner join. So let's try to create some more persons, because this can, or some more dogs, because this works for this. So let's say we have this person here has multiple dogs. So let's try to do, just close this one. And yeah, so let's put a new dog and call it Roof, and with the same owner. And I'll click run. Oh, I have to, yeah, have to click somewhere and then run. So now I have two of them. We can do the same. And we can see that Merla here has two dogs like that. So that's pretty cool. So what if I add a dog to one of the other owners? Like if I look at the list of owners, I can see 2005, some guy named Cristoforo. So 2005, let's try to go for that. So 2005, he had a dog named Bingo. And we run that and go back to our query and run that. And now we can see that Cristoforo has Bingo. So all the people that don't really have any dogs won't be part of this result. So this is basically what the inner join does. It takes what's common between the two tables and disregards everything else. We also have something called a left join, which is somewhat similar. So if we do the left join instead, you will see that the result is the same. If we do the right join, you'll see it's a lot different. So the reason for this is because the left join will join everything they have in common and the entire docs table. So if I do this, oh yeah, I cannot. So if I do this, you can see it takes, because the entire docs table is actually set to some of the dog owners. So let's try to create a dog that doesn't have any owner, like not a real one anyway. So just put null here. Go back, run. And we see that Bingo, the new dog Bingo, who doesn't have any owner, actually becomes part of the result because it takes the same as the inner join, everything they have in common, but it actually also takes everything from the dog table. So the left part is the from part and the right part is the join part. So if I say right, it will take everything from the persons table as well, and only the dogs that match. So the bingo here without any owner ID won't be part of the result. I forget this all the time. So we shouldn't see any bingo in here. So we see here, everyone is here and they don't have any dogs. So this is basically how joins work. We can also do other stuff. So we can do where clauses like on any other select. So we could say something like where name is not null. So everywhere where the name says null, it will ignore that. And then we are back to something like this. Or we could say where the name is null. Then we get all the others. So we can compare, we can use this where clause as well if we want to do something like that. Or we could say something like where gender is equal to male, and in this case we would we have to put this, of course, like this, and then we can only get the male ones. And let's go back to the inner join and run this, and then we only get Bingo because he's the only male dog owner in here, or female. We should get the other two dogs as well. You also get a lot of redundant data, but it's important to know that it's only redundant here in the result. It's not redundant in the database. It's only there once. It's only the select statement that gives us this. Yeah. A couple of other things we can do with the where statement now that we're looking into that. Let's go for like a right join so we get a lot of stuff in here again. Some other stuff we can do is we can actually use the We can say things like and here, so we can have and something else, or we could use or. So we could say whether gender is female or the a name equals Brian, for example. Let's see. Oh, I used this. Just a second. I'll fix that. So anyone named Brian will be here as well. So it will join them first, and then remove the ones that doesn't fit this description. If I do and, we're saying that should be a female, and the female's name should be Brian, and of course this doesn't reveal, or not of course, but this doesn't actually reveal anything like this. Okay. Another bonus tip here is that in a lot of cases we can also use something else on the where statement. Um, let's first look at something. So let's take all the females here as well. So let's say that we want also something that we often want to see is we want some sorting. So then we can use another SQL statement called order by, and then we can type descending. Sorry. Of course, I forgot. So of course we need to say which columns. So we could order by name and then descending order. And then we would get the names sorted. So if we look at the name here, it's by Ruf and Fido. So let's use first name instead from the persons table. So we can then see now it's descending order by first name. We can also use ascending order, which is the default. So if I run this, it will go from A and then downwards. If we don't type anything, it will use ascending order because it makes the most sense to do it like that. Another really cool thing you can do is you can also say something like, you can use something called the like keyword. And so instead of saying, you can say first name, not that it equals, but it's like something. And then you can actually do something like this. So you can say, I want it to start with something like a G and then followed by anything else. So now I only get the ones that starts with a G. I could also say that I want it to start with a G and then something, and then it should be an S and then something and an L, like that. Oh, maybe I didn't. Let's try to do it like that. So now we have Gates and Glynis, right? So let's take something like G something, then a Y, and then something and I, and then anything after that. So this matches the first name of Glynis because it starts with a G, and then anything comes in between that, then there's a Y, and then there's only one letter, and then there's an I, and then something comes after that as well. So this means that you're replacing one character wildcard, and this is multiple character wildcards. So this is a pretty good way to do that. And if we're using things like numbers, we can also do larger than, smaller than, and stuff like that. So we don't need to use the like. But for string searching, like is really, you can use these characters for testing things like that. That's it for joins. The only thing left to do is to say I showed that before. you have to create, it would be a good idea to create a foreign key to avoid something like here, when we look at the docs here, the owner ID can be null. And furthermore, you could say, should you be able to create a doc that doesn't have any owner? Okay, that would be okay. But if you do reference an owner ID, you should make sure that that owner actually exists in your system so that you don't have a doc that points to an owner that has been deleted or something like that. And also, if you delete an owner, there's a foreign key constraint saying that this owner actually owns a dog. So you might not want to delete him, or at least you want to give the dog a new owner or something like that. So that's it for joins. That's the shortest explanation I could come up with. Bye.